afternoon, Parenting with Purpose. I'm so happy to be able to make this recording for you. We had a very good session on Monday morning, but it went a bit long. So I tried on Wednesday evening to do the recording for you again. However, it was only me and Miriam on the call, so we decided to make it a private session, and that was an amazing session that I really, really enjoyed. Thank you, Miriam, so that we could spend some time together to get to know each other better. I would like to give you the recording. I already sent you the PDFs of the recording for this week, so that you can just have a little bit of more of an insight if we are talking about how we're handling the ADHD. So we're talking about behavioral management this week, coping strategies, and then positive parenting. And I'm going to make it as short as possible, although this is quite a lengthy presentation that I put together. I promise on next week it will be more condensed, but I hope that you catch up of what I'm trying to say here. So strap in, let's take this ride. It's going to be fun. Okay. Parenting with Purpose week 2, and we're going to start with behavioral management. Now, behavioral management is very much depending on the behavior of the child, and we do know that every child is different, even if they have ADHD, the type of ADHD that they have, how they react, and everything is different. So let's jump into this. By knowing exactly how to handle it at home, we need to start. My mother always said, step 1, sit down, let's start. By doing this, we need to identify the behavior patterns and triggers in an ADHD child, and everyone is different. So how do we know what is it that we need to be looking out for? And now I'm talking about positive and the challenging triggers that we are getting. How are we going to actually help the child by helping them with a positive side and boosting the positive side and seeing what they like? And how are we dealing with the challenging side that is so frustrating for them? So first of all, we're going to do observation. You carefully need to observe your child's behavior over time. Note recurring patterns, both positive and challenging. And for yourself to remember, just have a small little notebook or something with you and record and analyze what is happening. So to keep a behavioral journal or a diary to document specific incidents, including when and where they occur. When you do put the data down for this, please remind yourself to look, how busy is it around them? What is the sounds? Is there loud sounds? Is there not that many sounds? Is there plenty of things that's actually getting their attention sight-wise? Is there a lot of color around them? Is there a lot of people around them? Also, is it hot? Is it cold? Their clothes, is their clothes bothering them? Is their shoes bothering them? Exactly what is it that is the trigger at that specific point? So then you analyze the data to identify consistent triggers and situations that lead to certain behaviors. And the reason why I'm putting this specifically in is that especially with ADHD, there can be different type of senses that is more sensitive than other senses. So if it can either be your smell sense, your taste sense, your seeing sense, or your hearing sense. Most probably the hearing sense most of the time, because it really pulls their attention in all directions. But it can also be sight-wise, as well as the feeling, the touch senses that they've got on their body, that can also be the trigger. Now, when you have done that, you can consult professionals and other people that's also working with your child to see how they are reacting and what they are doing also that has a positive impact. So seek the input from healthcare providers, therapists, or the teacher, because the teacher also has a lot of time spending in class where you don't see your child. What is it that they are noticing, and how that they specialize in ADHD, how to help you. They can offer valuable insights and assessment tools, and they can also maybe give you an outcome on how to handle it a little bit better and manage the trigger. Then communication. Very important to maintain open and supportive communication with your child. Ask them about their feelings and experience and to gain a deeper understanding of their triggers. So remember, last time we handled on how you do this communication with an open body language, turn towards your child, look them in the eye, and have a deep, meaningful conversation on what they like, and what they don't like. So implementing a system of rewards and consequences is very important. You need to have your boundaries. And the reason why we say you need to have your boundaries, the kids are really very, very creative in how they're going to go around the boundaries to get what they want. Anything that's going to boost their dopamine in their, that's going to give that feel-good feeling for them, they're going to try and get that any way they can. So you need to have the boundaries really clearly set. Define clear expectations, clearly outline the behaviors you expect from your child, both the positive and the negative. Ensure that they understand the rules and consequences associated with each behavior. If you need to, if you don't think they don't understand it correctly, just ask them to repeat back in their own words, what is it that you just said, so that you are on the same page, that you definitely know what's your expectations. If they have a positive, this is what's going to happen. If they have a negative, this is what's going to happen. Then, first of all, create a reward system. Now, a reward system is very much age appropriate, but you can have a reward system for 6-year-old, 9 years old, 13 years old, 16-year-old, and it changes all the time. I always say, learn the currency of your child. What is important to them at that point that they would like to do, and that will be your reward system. If they like, for instance, to play games, if they do their work very well, they get half an hour extra on the game. If they like to do skateboarding, or if they like to go to the mall and have some ice cream, then that will be your reward system. Okay, so you establish a structured reward system and a meaningful incentive for desired behaviors. In other words, if you do this well, here's a cookie for you. Consistently acknowledge and reward positive behavior with praise, privileges, and small treats. Never money. Remember, never ever money. Enforce consequences fairly. Consequences, again, is if they do something that you do not want them to do, and it's a behavior that you would like to stop. Then you implement a consequence for undesirable behavior, and it must be consistently and fairly done. If you're not consistent, you can leave it even, because it's not going to change a thing. You need to be consistent. Ensure the consequences are logical, and it's also related to the behavior. So focusing on teaching them rather than punishing them. So by following these steps, you can create an effective system to motivate positive behavior and address challenges for children diagnosed with ADHD and others as well. So behavioral management strategies are an example of undesirable behavior. For instance, excessive video game playing during homework time. Now, remember that the child with ADHD really attaches towards that video game if they like playing it, because it boosts their dopamine, and they so desperately need that dopamine in order to focus. So it is addictive in a sense to them to play that video game, and they're not going to want to stop that, because that's going to stop the dopamine from coming. So if the child plays video games instead of doing their homework, the consequence they will have is to lose the video game privilege for the rest of the day. It doesn't help you take it away for 2 weeks. That's too harsh, and they're going to resent you for a very long time. So you have to also remember that time does not matter that much to them. So the uncomfortableness must be today, not tomorrow as well. They are required to complete their homework and before engaging in any other recreational activities, including video games, including going to play with their friends, including they need to finish the task that they were supposed to do first before they can start with the next one. And for an ADHD child, this is already a consequence that is quite difficult to do, because it means that they're going to have to keep their attention to finishing their homework. However, the positive on this side is, if there is something for them to look forward to and they have to do this homework now in order to get to their next step, they will definitely focus harder on this. And when they're hyper-focused, they actually work quite quickly and quite well. It's a plus with the minus. They will be getting through their homework. They will finish everything because they will hyper-focus on it. However, You have to keep your hand on it. There's also a list that I put for you over here on behavior and consequences for something else that they might be doing. It's not always a video game that is the problem that we're dealing with. Say, for instance, this child has got a big temper. When they've got a tantrum, they throw something and they break the plate, or they break something. The consequence for them breaking something means that they need to replace it with either money or work. So they break something, they need to put some kind of energy from their side back in order to make up for it. So you pay back the destructiveness of the behavior. If they are irresponsible, say, for instance, they tell you that they will be back they are going to go to the shops and they're going to be back at 3 and they're only coming back at 5 without letting you know, you are worried sick. Okay, that's where there's no privilege outside the home. They would want to go again because it was nice to go with their friends and everything. So you take the privileges away for a day or two. No more than 2 days for up to, I want to say, age 13. After that, you can go longer, but it's not going to mean anything for them if you do it longer than that. So they need to feel the pain for these 2 days. So if they are irresponsible, no privileges outside the home. If they make a big mess, what are you going to do? Clean it up yourself. You're not going to pay anybody. You're not going to ask anybody to help you. You messed it, you clean it up. If they show poor behavior towards others, they need to learn to say they're sorry. And the first thing that I always say is, just saying you're sorry doesn't mean a thing if you don't follow through on I'm really sorry and you can see it. Sorry, the word without an action means nothing. So first of all, in order for them to feel sorry, they need to understand what they have done. So you have to explain to them, put yourself in that person's shoes. You are that person right now. How would you feel if someone does this to you? And now, by feeling that feeling, you go and say sorry that you have done that. They need to understand the feeling because these are feeling kids. Okay. When they are not obeying the babysitter or the teacher, you as a parent, pay them to look after them. And when they are not obeying or respecting them, they need to work to pay you back for that time. And that actually only need to happen once, and they will get the message. Bedtime troubles. Every time they don't want to go to bed, you make the bedtime for the next night earlier. By the time they need to go to bed when the sun is still shining, I promise you they will learn their lesson. Whining and crying. The first thing you do, because whining and crying is part of attention-seeking behavior, they want you to see how upset they are. They're going to scream at how upset they are. They want you to give them attention. So the first thing, you take them away to get composure, and it's time out. You leave them. Because at time out, they need to get their composure on their own. They need to learn how to emotionally help themselves. So time away to get composure, then they can come back and you can talk about it. Okay, so if they don't care about things that you buy for them, say for instance, they need an iPad for school or something like that, then you can see that they're not looking after it. They throw it around or they don't care how they handle it. You take it away temporarily. And if it keeps on going, they don't get it anymore. If you can see that they can look after it, then they can have it back. Okay. When they are talking back to you, you can look them in the eye and you can say, try that again. Or you can say, is this really how you talk to your mother? Or is this really what you want to say right now? But make them think twice. If they say, yes, this is what I want to say, it's time out, because that means that they need to go and get composure. Okay, they are not being respectful. Okay, but talking back, usually immediately. It doesn't help you going to tell them later, when you said that, I felt this. That's not going to help. Immediately, just look them in the eye. Do not scream. Do not get agitated. Just look them in the eyes and say, try it again. Or, you don't speak to me like that. Would you please say it at a better voice? Just to get them to think twice at that very moment. So sometimes we do get spitting and hitting, both of them as time out until they know how to handle themselves. They need to be able to clean up after themselves. They need to be able to say that they are sorry. They need to understand how the other person feels. So they need to just get the composure first and then say they're sorry. Okay, and then interrupting. When they keep on interrupting you or cannot wait until you finish with either on a call or talking to a friend, that is seen as disrespectful. So first of all, you need to wait 5 minutes before you engage to them. But in those 5 minutes, they are really not going to understand what's going on. So I want to add on this. I have taught my children, and they did it since they were 4 years old, both ADHD or non-ADHD, they can all do that. If you would like my attention and I'm talking to somebody else, what you do is not talking to me, because I've got 2 ears, 1 brain, and the brain is busy with both my ears. So I cannot help 2 people at one time. But what you can do to actually get my attention is put your hand on my arm. I will acknowledge you with my other hand that does not involve both my ears or my mouth, so I can finish what I'm busy with and I can acknowledge you at the same time. So put your hand quietly on my arm. I will put my hand back, and when I can say interrupt my conversation that I have, I will say, just excuse me for a second, and I will turn to them, and then you can talk to them and say, yes, dear, what is it that I can help you with? So in that case, you show them how to respect you, but you also show them how to respect the other person that is talking to you. Okay, so you are not ignoring what they want. You are not ignoring their feelings. You are acknowledging them, but you only look at them once that you can speak to them. Okay, so all consequences should be given in a calm and a cool voice. It helps very much if you lower your voice a little bit. So kids should be given the consequences when it's a reoccurring behavior. There should be apologies with forgiveness granted at the end of the consequence. Definitely follow through on the apologies with a hug and a I love you, and carry on. So this consequence is logical and related to the behavior, and it reinforces the importance of completing homework or anything else before enjoying the leisure activities. And it also provides a clear expectation and a fair consequence for not meeting that expectation. So when overstimulation happens or meltdown happens, and we know it usually happens in the shopping center or in a place where your arms are full of packets or something, and you suddenly need to stop and just handle your child. What do? First of all, you recognize the signs. You watch for overstimulation cues like agitation and sensitivity. Then what you do, even in a busy, I want to say in a busy mall, you can create a calm space. And where is your calm space? Your calm space, you just move to the side of the hall in the mall or something, so that it's just you and your child, maybe around a corner or something. Create the little calm space between the two of you and remove the triggers and provide a quiet area for them just to breathe, be in your arms and feel safe. They are overstimulated. They don't know how to handle it. They are emotional. You need to calm them down. So the first thing you're going to do is not say, stop it, don't do this now, because that's going to bring the stress out even more. What you're going to do is you're going to leave everything, take them to a quiet area, and it doesn't need to be too quiet. It's literally just around a corner or something, and come down to their level, look them in the eye and say, here I am. It's okay. What do you want to say? Okay, so offer comfort, stay calm, show empathy, show that you understand that this is now a lot to handle for them. And now I'm also, with my previous sessions that I did, the one lady who always talked about in the airport just before the plane is going to take off, there's always a meltdown. Okay. So, you know what, even in that sense, if you're running to catch the plane, you can stand still for a minute, just 1 minute, and you can say, okay, let's breathe quickly. We need to get to the other side, but we're going to breathe now. and take a minute. Okay, stay calm, show empathy, should use some soothing techniques. Also teach them coping techniques. 4, 7, 8 breathing. Immediately bring the vagus nerve down to relax. It really bring your cortisol down, and it really helps to a little bit boost the testosterone, so it helps them to fight a little bit better for the stress that they've got right now. Mindfulness, just check around you what's happening, and as soon as you can sit down, you just take them and say, look me in the eye, this is me and you create a space between the two of you. Even in a busy space, you can do this. You create a mindful space, and then encourage their self-expression so that they can tell you exactly what it is that overstimulate or meltdown, or what they couldn't deal with at that point. So these tips help you effectively manage overstimulation and meltdowns in your child. Facilitate a smoother transition at home for ADHD children. Now, give them a visual schedule from the morning to the evening. This is what you need to do when you wake up. And just a little schedule next to their bed or on their mirror in the bathroom. You have to shower, brush your teeth, comb your hair, because yes, it should come naturally, but for an ADHD child, they know everything that they need to do. However, they can't choose what they need to do first. And in order for them to actually stand there and decide is a huge issue. So what you need to do is you need to put it into order for them so that they can just look at it and say, okay, now I do number 1, now I do number 2, now I do number 3. And then your schedule is actually sorted out. You can use pictures, color coding, put it in a visible location for them where they can easily see it. When they need to do homework or something that they don't like, you set a timer, and either the little clocks that you can use the timer, you can show them this is you're going to go from the 12 to the 3 section, or you're going to go for a half an hour. Or you can get these hourglasses. If you can get an hourglass, it's fantastic because they can see how the time is passing in an hourglass. So that helps them very much. For the older kids, if they are teenagers already, it does help for them to have something like a smartwatch with a timer on that can every 5 or 10 minutes just tick on their arm so that they know the time has passed. Okay, so you can tell them, okay, you can play for 15 minutes, set your timer for 10. When the timer goes off for 10, you know you can play for another 5, and then we're going to go. So gradually give them a transition time towards the next thing that's going to happen. You need clear communication. Communicate the transitions very clearly. Use verbal cues to them. You've got 5 minutes now. Okay, remember, in 2 minutes we're going to go. Would you please pack up now because we need to go, but gradually, and ensure understanding that they are in the middle of a dopamine boost if they are liking what they are doing. So they don't want to change. However, if you are going to actually help them remember that they need to change, it's going to go much smoother. Okay. Transition objects or rituals. So you can actually create a ritual or a hand sign or something like that. As you can see, this hand sign, if I see that hand sign there, then I know, even if I was very stressed and I had to do a violin recital or something and my dad was there, that was his perfect sign. You have done well. I am proud of you. That was his sign. And I will always remember that. So make the transitions comfortable with a hand sign. Give them a peace sign for 2 minutes, or give them a 5 minutes hand sign or something like that. But you can use objects and rituals for that to help it make comfortable, and do that between you and your child. Does not always have to be something that you say. You can show them something and they understand. When it comes to individual education plans, for my son, what they have done is, because he loses time during exams, we have a sign for him that at the facility where he's writing the exam, they have to knock on his desk twice every 20 minutes. So it's just a knock every 20 minutes. It doesn't really bother people around him, but that knock already in his head and his subconscious, he knows that just get back, you are in exam, you need to concentrate now. And it brings him back immediately to have his attention where it needs to be for the time of the exam. And it really helps a lot. Positive reinforcement rather than negative breaking down. Very important. Implement a reward system. Offer praise and small rewards all the time. Be consistent and provide feedback. But remember to tell them what they do right, because there's plenty of people outside there that's going to tell them what they do wrong. So you need to be the one that's the positive reinforcement. Now, I just quickly want to go back to the story about Einstein. We all know about Einstein, that he couldn't finish school because he couldn't sit still in school. He couldn't concentrate in school. Obviously, the teacher did not understand the questions that he was asking, because he was highly intelligent, but also very ADHD. So he went home, and with a letter from the teacher to his mother, she just read the letter and she closed it, and she said to him, you know what? The teacher said that she can't teach you anything anymore because you already know most of what she knows. And she is suggesting that we are taking it further from home so that you can get the best education possible. And with that, he went into science, and he really studied his science and his math, and he absolutely went all out for it. And where would we be without the inventions of Einstein today? However, when he cleaned out his mother's cupboard after her passing, he found that letter, and he opened the letter, and inside the letter stand, your child is unruly and we cannot cope in class. Please keep him at home. Now, if the mother did a negative consequence on that letter, he would have had completely different life. However, she changed it into, you already are so good that you need to do your education differently. And that's what we as mothers need to understand. The positive reinforcement that we make on a daily basis for our children, that they're not going to get outside because people is going to tell them what they are doing wrong. But the positive reinforcement that we get will change literally their lives. So keep on implementing the reward system to get them to a positive reward, and learn what they like. Positive reward does not need to be money. It does not need to mean that you need to buy something. It can be time that you spend with them. It can be time extra that they spend with their friends. Learn the energy exchange that you can give them back to say you are good enough with what you are doing. Remember, flexibility and patience are essential in supporting your child's transitions. So when we are talking about boosting self-esteem and resilience in children with ADHD, we need to remember these 5 steps that is really important. We need to do a positive feedback, like we just spoke about now. The positive feedback is really important because positive feedback will also boost their dopamine, and they will want to actually help to boost it again. So the more positive feedback you get, the more they are going to try and work with you. You're going to boost their self-esteem, and they are going to feel like they're actually achieving something. Focus on their strengths and achievements, and acknowledge the effort, not just the outcome. So we know that children with ADHD does not always test well, but they do very well with their schoolwork. They do fantastic in projects which they are interested in. So what you need to do is, if they do a project, no matter what the subject is that they're doing the project in, make the project enjoyable for them, or let them find a way where the project is enjoyable and the effort that they're putting in. And when the outcome comes, just acknowledge whatever there is to acknowledge, and be happy about either the effort or both outcome and effort, depending on what it is. But if they are going to go into a test situation, like an exam or something like that, you need to remember that they are not always as engaged in the test situation. So it might not be that they are not doing well in school, but it is just that they are not doing well in tests. We need to have a clear communication with them. Again, foster an open dialogue with them so that you can know, did you have trouble in the test? What happened on this specific day? Encourage them to express their feelings so that they can understand when they are winning and when they need to ask for help. Tell them that they are also welcome to come to you when they have any trouble, or when they feel that they are not being handled correctly. And however, listen actively and without judgment, but make sure that they don't use the ADHD as a label, that they don't use it as an excuse why they're not doing well, but that they are really trying their best. And that's why I want to come back to number one, acknowledging the effort, which means they will put in their best. They need a very structured routine, extremely structured routine. They need to know when they wake up, when they go to school, when they come back, when they eat lunch, when they're going to do their after-school activity. It is extremely important for them to do some type of exercise, and when they're going to brush their eat dinner, brush their teeth, start winding down, going to bed. So a predictable daily schedule is very important for them. You can use visual aids in their program, so you can put on a program for them for what they need to do, make it easy for them to see a visual aid and a reminder, and that will promote a sense of control and stability for them. Because remember, their mind is so full of everything that comes in between their normal structure, that if they can just stand still and look at their structure and go back to basics, it will help them to get some control back into their life. Set realistic goals. Now, I do know that there's a friend of mine that always say that her child does not pass math. Now, the realistic goal there is going to be that her child cannot get 80%. He needs to pass. That's his realistic goal. And if he does pass, then that's what you're going to celebrate. And if he does not pass, then you're going to celebrate the effort that he put in to try and pass it. But make sure that the goal that you set for them is realistic. Do not expect for a B or a C or even a D child in tests with ADHD to achieve an A. That is not realistic. When they get older, you're going to see that the test that they are doing is a lot of work that they need to study. And you do know that they can't study it all at once, because they're not going to keep their attention towards the work that much. Now, I'm sitting with a problem that my child is 18 and he likes to procrastinate a lot. And most of the time, study work gets pushed until a day or 2 days before the exam. So what you do when I say set realistic goals is you go sit down and you work out a routine of little tests in between. I'm going to ask you today about chapter 1 and tomorrow about chapter 2 and the day after about chapter 3. It's only going to be a 15-minute questions, but you need to be able to tell me about what you've studied or something like that. The realistic goals that they're going to do daily is actually going to bring them towards the big goal in the end. You have to celebrate every small victory, and you have to encourage perseverance and resilience in the ones that they struggle with. Please do this just this little bit today, because it will help you in the long run. And then, very important, build a support network. When they go to school, you need to have a support network with teachers and caregivers on that side that understand your problem. It is very important for a teacher, at least one teacher, to be at school where the child can actually go to and say, I am uncomfortable, or I need to get out of my space at the moment, or I can't cope with this today, the stress that's on me today. They need to have a support network at school when you are not there. You can't do everything yourself. Just the same, the support network at school needs to know that they can count on your support as well. What we have done is we always at the beginning of the year, I send an email to the new teachers, say that there is an individual education plan for my child. If they get familiar with that, they will understand him better in class. Please to make a meeting with him so that they can get to understand each other. And when they need me, here's my email address, and please let me know if there's anything, because you can't be teacher and mom as well. You are mom. Teaching is at school, but you can support each other. And make that boundary very clear that you are not the teacher at home. Seek professional guidance if needed. If they need a tutor, get that to help them. But again, establish a very clear boundary between who is mom, who is teacher, who is support. Okay. And then encourage friendships and social interactions. Now, this does not mean you need to go out and make the friends for them. That can be very challenging, and sometimes you put them in a situation where the personalities clash and they don't want to be there, the other children don't want to be there, and then they actually feel worse about themselves. So when I say encourage friendships and social interactions, is when your child comes to you and say, Mom, can I go swim with so-and-so? You encourage, and yes, sure, you can. Can I send some cool drink with for you, or would you like a packet of cookies or something to take with you? But encourage the interaction, but don't build the interaction. They need to build it themselves. Okay. Empowering your child with ADHD requires patience and consistency. Remember, you don't need to climb the whole mountain in one day, but every day you need to take a step towards the top. Building self-esteem and resilience is an ongoing process. And sometimes, especially during teenage years, you're going to find that it gets broken down very quickly. That's part of hormonal buildup and breaking down, and they're feeling today very bad about themselves. Know the inner working of the body in order to understand your child. When they are not feeling well about themselves, it can be that they have a little bit of depressive sensors there. Their serotonin is not up to level, which means as 95% of serotonin is made in the gut, you need to clear out the gut. They need fresh vegetables and they need to be looked after so that they can have a good gut-brain access at that point, so that they can boost their system again. So serotonin you can boost through food. Make sure that you have something like dark chocolate, because that definitely cocoa boosts serotonin, so that you can treat them with something like dark chocolate. Also, go do something with them that is going to, I did send a list on the WhatsApp group, but go do something that boosts their dopamine, that make them feel good. And that is how you're going to go through the ups and the downs of the teenage years as well. So building self-esteem and resilience is important there. Okay, so positive parenting techniques. I have mentioned this before. I'm quickly going to go through this because this is getting long already, but I want to stretch it. To reward positive behavior in your ADHD child can be effective in promoting good conduct. So first of all, you specify the desired behaviors. Your child needs to know what you would like them to do. Please pick up your clothes, even if you have to say it 1,000 times. Please pick up your clothes, or put your white and your dark clothes in 2 separate bins, whatever it is in your house. But it should be achievable and age appropriate. Now, having said that, I want to tell you, by the age of 6, if you know how to work an iPad, you know how to do a washing machine. I'm not saying that they have to do all the washing, but if something comes up, you need to be able to tell them, please help me with this, or can you separate the colors for me so that the washing can be easier, or can you pack out the dishwasher machine for me? And ensure that your child understands them by repeating the behavior back to you. What would you like me to do? What would I like you to do? I would like you to pack out the dishwashing machine for me. Can you tell me what you need to do? Pack out the dishwashing machine, Mom. Thank you very much. Okay. By the time they come in and one day they want to treat you, you're going to see they're going to pack out the dishwashing machine for you by themselves, because they know that's helping you in what you need to do. Also, if you've eaten and you're finished with your plate, please don't put it just down there where you are. Take it to the kitchen, put it directly in the dishwashing machine, because that's going to help me a lot. Thank you very much. Be very clear of what you would like them to do. Select rewards that motivate your child. So this will depend on what it is that your child is interested in. It should never be money or something expensive, but rather as experience, like longer playtime, spending time with them, playing ball with them, watching a movie with them, making them their favorite food, taking them out for a milkshake or a treat, something like that. Although this can be small, short-term rewards, as well as long-term rewards that you're giving. Remember, a long-term reward for an ADHD child does not mean as much as a short-term reward because they cannot see time. If it's Monday and you say, if you're going to do this every day, I will reward you on Friday, nothing is going to get done. However, if it's Monday and you say, if you do this today, you can have after dinner a scoop of ice cream, maybe you know what, it might be that they are going to react much better because it's something in the near future that they work towards. Okay, so short-term rewards works better with ADHD children than long-term rewards because it's more believable and more reachable. Consistency and encouragement. Consistently reward desired behaviors. Make sure that your child knows that if they do something right, then they're sticking to a goal, it will have a pleasant outcome. Use positive reinforcement, tracking progress, and celebrate all achievements. So strive for a balance between rewards and fostering intrinsic motivation to encourage lasting positive behavior. Just fostering intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic is that they are motivating themselves. So what you are going to do is you're going to literally put the carrot in front of the donkey and you say, you're going to get this if you do this. You're going to get this if you do this. And one day you're going to not say you're going to get this. You say, would you please do that? And they will know that it will lead to something positive and you just carry on to make a positive outcome. Okay, even if it is to make mom happy, that should also be a positive outcome. Right, so 3 important routines for your ADHD child: stability, something that's going to help them focus, something that's going to calm them down. Is a good morning routine is very important. Set a consistent wake up time and remember when you wake them up in the morning, between sleep and waking up, that first 5 minutes is when you can reach their subconscious easiest. That is when the subconscious is very susceptible for suggestion. So that is when you're going to tell your child, good morning, this is going to be a wonderful day. It looks like it's going to be a sunny day outside. Remember, there's so many nice things to look forward to today. So at that point, please open your eyes. Here is something nice for you for breakfast or whatever. But make sure the morning routine is a good one from the moment they wake up, because that set the precedent for the rest of the day. Now, follow a specific order for tasks like getting dressed and having breakfast, and use visual cues or a checklist for the smaller ones so that they can get used to it. Now, this is one of the things that I must tell that I did really wrong before I realized my child has got ADHD and they wake up with 17 open tabs already on their brain. I never understood why he doesn't want to wake up, and I got mad at him every morning when he woke up. So he had a crappy day every day because I did the morning routine differently. When I changed it, the whole dynamic in the house changed for the rest of the day, because I changed the way I speak to him and I changed my voice tone when I speak to him in the mornings, because he was very susceptible of whether he's accepted or not between waking up and breakfast time. So just make sure that when you wake up in the morning, even if it is a struggle, you, instead of saying, this is now the 7th time that I woke you up, can you please get up? Their mind is hearing that they are already not accepted for the day. It's going to be a crappy day. Rather than that, you can go in and say, sweetheart, it's not my job to get you out of bed. I already woke you up. Would you please be so kind to get up now, because you're going to be late for school? You say exactly the same thing. You say it's quieter and softer. They will get the message, but they will not get the message in the fact that they are unaccepted at that moment, because they didn't get up. They're getting the message they're going to be late for school, and it's going to be a problem for them. So it reflects differently in their subconscious, and it makes the whole day and their self-image much better. Make sure the morning routine is a good one, even if it is irritating for you. After school homework or study time, if they have any of those, or if you have reading time at home, designate a specific time and place for homework. They don't need to do it immediately after school. Remember, they've been in school the whole day. They have been trying to be good the whole day. They need a bit of a break. But when they go and sit down for their homework, it must be at the same place, whether it's a desk in their room or at the desk downstairs in the living room or wherever, the same place at a specific time, so that they know this is now homework time. Break tasks into manageable chunks with short breaks in between. The one thing that irritates an ADHD child right through school days, they can't get up whenever they want to. So what you can do with homework time is, instead of them having to sit down for 45 minutes, you break it down 15 minutes, then we would take a 5-minute break, then 15 minutes and a 5-minute, and that helps them to actually get through the work faster. And you can put a kitchen timer down for focus and breaks so that they know exactly where they're at. And then, very important, bedtime routine. Again, we're getting to suggestions of the subconscious mind. You need to get a calming bedtime routine. Tell them they were very, very well on their efforts today. If they weren't that well on the efforts, if there was a tantrum or something, you say, you know what, tomorrow is another day. Let's stop this day over here. Actually, this is the time of the day where we can say, thank you. We had a day, we gave it our best. Maybe it worked out well, maybe it didn't work out that well. However, tomorrow is another day, and it's going to be a good day. So suggest the good day that's coming up. Suggest that there is going to be good sleeping for them just before they fall asleep. Okay, so include activities like reading and relaxation, but not screen time. Remember, screen time needs to be finished at least an hour before bedtime. If they are older and they need to study at night, please make sure that they have the blue light blocking glasses so that it doesn't keep their brains awake. So set a consistent bedtime for sufficient sleep. There's actually a study done in Australia where they took 40 kids and they did exactly the same work with them, but the one group, they get 8 hours sleep and the other group got 6 hours sleep. And after 2 weeks, the group that got 8 hours sleep retained information twice as much as the group that got 6 hours sleep. So remember, they are still children. They do need their sleep. So you need to see that for younger children, by 8 o'clock, they need to be in bed. For teenagers, by 9 o'clock, they need to be in bed. If they are between 16 and 18 and they're not going to manage all their work before the time, between 10 and 10:30, then they're putting the lights out. That they need to do that in order to cope the next day. The other thing is also, if they struggle to fall asleep and they don't have enough time to sleep, your brain cannot process memories while you are awake. You need to go into rapid eye movement, your REM sleep, in order to process memories. And it is where it dumps its memories into its storage. If it doesn't do that during the night and they don't get enough sleep, you wake up with unprocessed memories. In other words, your brain is already full. And that's where ADHD children really struggle, because if their brain is already full by them waking up and they pick up all the other things around them, they get agitated and overwhelmed very quickly. So set a consistent bedtime for sufficient sleep. The routines provide structure and predictability, helping your child to manage ADHD symptoms effectively. Adapt them towards your child's needs. So setting achievable expectations for your child, you need to understand their abilities. We've gone through this. Assess the strength and the weaknesses so that you know what they are capable of. Don't ask them to do more than what they are capable of. They're going to internalize that as, I am not good enough. Recognize the individual challenges and talents and boost the talents. Set realistic goals for them. As I said, if they are a D class math student and an A class art student, do not concentrate so much on the math. Yes, you can help them a little bit with that, but concentrate to boost them on their art, because that's what they're going to do in the long run in their life. The math is only going to last for school. The rest is going to last for a lifetime. Focus on the lifetime. Define clear and specific goals based on your child's capabilities. break larger goals into smaller achievable steps, and then offer support and encouragement by providing guidance, resource, positive reinforcement, and celebrate their progress and efforts along the way. Right, so this is the whole bucket that I had for you. Right, I hope this helps for you. Please, any questions? I know that we didn't have a lot of people logging on this week, but please, I need you to send me questions. Got 2 more weeks left of this free sessions that you get. And I am still keeping the WhatsApp group, so you're more than welcome to ask me questions either in private or on the WhatsApp group. And if you would like to desire a one-on-one session while we're doing the free sessions, you are more than welcome to ask me for a one-on-one session. And if you have a problem, we can try and work that out. You don't have to do everything on your own. We are here to give help. Okay. Have a wonderful weekend. And I am looking forward to next week when we will be doing nutrition, what we can do on our plates to help our kids, what we can do supplement-wise, how much water they need to drink, and rest. So I'm really looking forward to doing that with you next week. Have a wonderful weekend.